and this here may be tough to you. Snack cake to me, yeah, more hostess. This been overdue forever. Asked me when it was dropping, said never. Should've made you cut the feta, but I designed it Freemason Margiela.
What's goody, Shellitronnn here, the most smoke, no joking. I'm gotta get with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. This game coming up on Sunday in Philadelphia is probably the biggest game of our season so far. Now, there have been some pretty big games in different contexts this year. It's only week 7 right now, but this game right here is definitely going to be one of the bigger tests for us and one of the biggest showings of exactly who we are as a team and how we respond to a pretty close loss after really 2 really close games. But honestly, if we get right down to it and really think about it, a pretty mediocre, middle-of-the-road season so far as a whole. And that's not just my opinion of it. The numbers really speak to it. On offense, we're ranked 17th in points, 22nd in yards, 4th with the rush, and 26th in the pass. And on defense, we're ranked 10th in points allowed, 14th in yards, 15th against the rush, and 15th against the pass. These are all the numbers of a directly middle-of-the-road team. On offense, we're definitely well below average. I mean, these numbers don't really tell the whole story. I mean, 17th, 22nd, 4th, and 26th. Now, those rankings make us look kind of bad, but not horrible. But that's only because we're 4th in rush yards per game. But it seems to be a recurring story with how it was last year, because we were ranked 3rd in the rush last year. But we all recognize and we all acknowledge that we had no run game last year. I think we can all acknowledge, everyone who watched games from last year, we know there was no run game at all last year. And it was a lot to do with Cam. There's a few breakout games here and there from different people. But honestly, Cam was carrying the rush game. And then we were also depending on him to carry the passing game with a less than average, really a bad receiver core. This year, it's not the case. We have a much better O-line. We have way better receivers, but we're still doing borderline horrible in the rush game. I'm not going to lie. We had one breakout game from Christian McCaffrey. We are not using C.J. Anderson at all. And I don't know if you guys actually watch the media stuff and like the interviews and the press conference and that kind of stuff, but we're getting the same story from all these guys on the team, be it the coaches, some of the players and whatnot, talking about, you know, these things will come. We're still working on it. We don't need to change anything. We need to play with more intensity. But what we're doing right now is working with our personnel. I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the case. We have to get C.J. Anderson in the game. Now, unless there's something going on in practice or the training or the coaching staff and the training staff is just not letting us know something about C.J. Anderson and this man just cannot play and it's showing in practice and it's showing, like, I guess with his body or whatever. But I feel a little bit better if we knew about that kind of thing rather than, you know, putting this man in for one snap of a game last week and getting him an official did not play from the NFL. There has to be some kind of split back situation here for the team. It's just a really mind-blowing thing for me that we're not using all of our running options this year. And that's really more of a general thought because it's kind of hard for me to put that into this specific week because we're playing against one of the best rush defenses in the NFL this year. And when I say one of the best, I mean they're actually the second best. I think they haven't allowed any running back to get more than 43 yards before Saquon went for 100 plus on them just last Thursday, I think it was. Their defense is only allowing an average of 80 yards per game. 80 yards per game. They're the second best rush defense in the league. We have to do something. I'm kind of confused as to what exactly the answer is. We want to be a running team. We want to be a running team, but this week we're going to have to either figure out something in the run or get our guys in the pass involved because there's a lot of things that could work in our favor that I really think that we aren't really capitalizing on and really using the full potential of our personnel to our advantage here because we have a lot of guys with speed and alternate kind of abilities that aren't just contained to their specific position because we have guys like DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, even Damiere Byrd to a certain extent who have more talents than just pass catching. They can come out the backfield. These guys are like kind of running back, wide receiver hybrids. Same thing for Christian McCaffrey. Why not put him out wide in more situations than just a 5-out set and an empty back kind of thing there? Why not have him out wide and have C.J. Anderson in the backfield? Even if we motion him back and still hand the ball off to him, it still makes the defense think, wait, maybe they're going to pass here to Christian McCaffrey. Maybe I should play a little farther back. He has speed. He can run routes. He's not just a kind of like a flare route kind of guy or a quick in or a hitch kind of guy. He can run down the field and catch passes. So it makes the defense kind of think a little bit. And if you start the game out putting him out wide and then motioning him on an end around or something like that to get him a handoff, if you keep doing that over the course of the game and then you fake it and then later on in the game you put him in motion and you don't hand it off to him either through play action or just ignoring him in general, it's going to make the defense believe he's getting the ball. We have a whole crew of guys who can really benefit from misdirection kind of plays and whatnot that we really aren't using. But even though that's a really important strategy and a really big part of our team's talent that we're ignoring and not using to its full potential, I can't even definitively say that's even the biggest problem I have with this game or the team as a whole, because we have to think about this defense here for just a second. Not more than just a second here. Where's our pass rush for the whole game? Where's our run defense? We were, what, 3rd against the run last year? We are 15th against the run. We didn't lose too many guys, and we got Dontari Poe. Now, is Dontari Poe playing like he did in Atlanta? I can't say all that, but he is still eating up blocks and getting 2K short on some one-on-ones, so his impact may not always be shown in the stat line, but he is still doing work on the line. But honestly, we have to do something about the run, and I mean anything about the run, because we're going up against a team in the Eagles who has 1, but potentially 2 of their big-name running backs who are going to be out for this week. Definitely Jay Ajayi. We know the whole story about Jay Ajayi. He's out for the season, basically. And there's also Darren Sproles, who hasn't officially, by the time making this video, been named out for the game, but we should always be prepared for him maybe not being in there, which leaves Wendell Smallwood and Corey Clement. You're thinking, okay, Smallwood and Clement, we should be able to clamp them up. But both these guys have about 40 rush attempts, and they're both averaging over 4 yards per carry. So these guys are kind of the real deal. I can't even lie. And it's not like these guys are getting like big breaking like 90, 85 yard rushes that put their average up. There's no like outlier rush that's boosting their stats for them. Smallwood's biggest rush is 15 yards and Corey Clement's biggest rush is 21 yards. So that just tells you off bat that they're pretty consistent in getting these 4, maybe 3.5, 3.6 yards per carry. These are guys who are probably 3rd or 4th on the depth chart at the beginning of the year, but still, guys, you have to take seriously. But even that may not be the biggest point for this game, because we have to think about how the Eagles' defense works. They're actually really good against the run, but very porous against the pass. Because, honestly, Jalen Mills has proven that he's actually just, not that great. Not that great. Jalen Mills he wasn't all that great last year, but this year he's getting torched up and down the field. It doesn't matter who's on him. It's basically, you throw to Jalen Mills, you're going to probably get a good play 3 out of the 4 times you throw at him. One of the big things that I notice about this Eagles defense is that they only allow 38 yards per game from tight ends. So we have Greg Olsen back against a team that really does clamp up tight ends. So I really want to see how Greg Olsen performs in this game, because he's one of the best. And off the top of my head, I can't think about the teams that the Eagles have played who have actual like top tier tight ends. Now they played the Giants, but Evan Ingram isn't in. Austin Hooper didn't do too much against them in the first game. They were both kind of bad in the first game. So I'm trying to think if they've actually played any really, really good tight ends yet in their season. So they'll have a really big test here with Greg Olsen on their hands, who has no designation for injury, so he should be playing about every snap for us. So we have to find a way to get this pass game going. The Eagles in the last 3 weeks have allowed 308 pass yards per game. That's definitely doable with Cam, but we need to make our offense a little less predictable and a little bit more exotic with the type of players we have here. Norv Turner in the play calling has to get a little bit more aggressive. I'm not going to crucify Coach Rivera for not going for it on 4th and inches at the 50. I understand. Like, honestly, usually he would do that. Let's not get too down on him, because usually he's one of the more aggressive coaches, and 9 times out of 10, he does make that call. I don't know why he didn't there, but honestly, I think he wanted to see something from the defense, and we just couldn't do anything with the defense. So I don't want to put it all on him. We have to hold our defense accountable. And Carson Wentz already has 13 sacks on his head in the, 3 games he's played so far this season. I think we have, the 3rd lowest QB pressures in the league. That's low-key amazing. I can't even front on you. I think Cam only has 8 sacks on the full season. If our pass rush isn't getting there, we have to dial up some blitzes. I don't know if we really do dial up blitzes all that much. I don't see it all that much, but we have to do something. Anything, honestly, even if it's not Thomas Davis Sr., maybe a nickel blitz or something like that, maybe a strong safety blitz, something like that. We have to find some kind of way to get pressure, because this O-line of the Eagles is not the O-line from last year. These guys are not playing the same. They're not the same intensity. They're not protecting their quarterback in the same way they were last year. And we have too much talent on our front four and really our front seven because Carson Wentz is good, and this is actually a game for the Eagles that they really need as well. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They're 3-3, and this game is at home at about the midway point of the season, and they really don't want to go negative and establish a really bad setup for them later on in the season. This is a big game, not only as for seeding in the NFC, but also for the cultures and the mindset of both of these teams going forward. So I see both of us being really aggressive and being really high-strung to make sure we can make the plays where they need to happen. And honestly, it's going to come down to who wants this win more. I won't say it's a must-win, but this is really a gut check for both quarterbacks and both defenses who struggle on different parts of the field between the run game and the pass game for the Panthers and the Eagles, respectively. If we can somehow shock this Eagles team by getting our running game going, it's only going to open up the pass game more, which is the area of the field that they do worst in. So we have to find some kind of way to establish the run, to open up what should really be the biggest difference in this game for our offense. And that's the pass game. Now, I believe this is going to be a close, low-scoring game that's probably going to be decided in the last 1 or 2 possessions. Probably the very last possession is where this game is going to be decided, honestly. And we've shown that we can do pretty well in the games up until when we need to in crunch time. So if we're up by a possession or 2, we're all right. But when we need points, when we have the ball driving on the last drive of the game, we've shown that we like to stall out sometimes. That Giants game, I won't harp on it anymore. 63-yard field goals to win games is a hard way to make a living. And we showed just last week that sometimes the bright lights and that crunch time, clutch time situation does get a little bit too hard on us sometimes. So we have to find a way to dig down and prove to ourselves as a team that we can get these really close game situations and produce. That's what it is. I think it's going to be a close game, probably 20-23. And we win. I can see this going either way, honestly. It's a hard game to pick. And I don't want to always say that we're going to win these games, but this is definitely a winnable game and a very losable game for us. But if we play well, if Cam throws less than 2 picks and we can get 120-ish, 130, 40-ish yards on the ground, not just with one player, but if we can get 100 plus, 130, 140 plus yards on the ground, split between Christian McCaffrey, CJ Anderson, and Cam, I think it'll open up the pass enough for us to really start producing here in this game. It's a lot of what ifs. It's a lot of we haven't seen it consistently so far, but it's definitely doable. But what are your thoughts? What are your score predictions? What are your stat predictions? Does Cam go over 300 yards in this game? Does our defense find a way to stop the Eagles? Let me know in the comments below. And you already know to do that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.